Reed, good to be with you. Yeah, Caroline Levitt confirmed that effective tomorrow there will be a 25% tariff on Mexico, a 25% tariff on Canada. And President Trump has in the past said that that's because of trade deficits between the U.S. and those countries. Caroline also announced a 10% tariff on China, and she attributed that to fentanyl. We have heard Canada Prime Minister Justin Trudeau say that there will be countermeasures. He said that earlier this week, two potential tariffs. We'll see how this all plays out. We export vehicles and machinery to both of those countries, and we import timber, produce, booze from Mexico, as well as electronics and appliances from the two countries. So if this tariff war escalates to an extent, that's where we could see a potential impact in terms of prices. Caroline did not specify if there would be any exemption for when it comes to oil.
Hey, welcome back to Nights and Weekends with me, Marcus, your host. As you can see from the video I put in, that the tariff wars have started. I'm not going to even focus on Mexico and Canada because they are allies. I'm going to focus more so on China, since they are a strategic enemy that Richard Nixon, who was probably pushed by manufacturers here in this country to open up China, and also their induction into the World Trade Organization and things like that in the early 2000s. It was still great times, but we lost a lot of manufacturing jobs. They are an enemy. At least their government is. I don't know about their people. The Chinese people I've met have always been very nice to me. Okay. I feel like Muhammad Ali when it comes to that.
What? They never called me nigga. They never.
But their government, make no bones about it, they are an enemy. So we're gonna hop on in here. Okay, but at least from what I can see here, we are gonna have issues going forward with China. Okay, and I hope that they don't lead to a war, but who knows actually. Okay. So China has a thing when it comes to Taiwan. If you're not familiar, the folks on the island of Taiwan think that they're the actual legitimate Chinese government. The folks in China would beg to differ. And this goes all the way back, I think, to the 50s or something along those lines. But China wants Taiwan to be back underneath its political sphere. And the U.S., because we're the U.S., we have a vested stake in what goes on in Taiwan because, as we can see here, TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, produces at least 90% of the world's most advanced computer chips. Collectively, Taiwan companies hold 68% of the market share of all global chip production. Now, something I actually agree with Trump on the tariffs, a lot of his supporters will actually agree with the tariffs, is that we here in the West have we here in the West have we've essentially let our businesses that were started here by Americans move overseas, and because of the labor being so much cheaper, and they took the things that used to be made here and now they're made over there, and then they're shipped back here. If we were to raise tariffs, and I think 10% is probably wholly inadequate. They probably have to raise them 300 or 400% to end up having it to where these manufacturers say, you know what, we're better off just bringing the production back to the United States, and then we won't have to worry about the tariff. And then the people here could actually work there and produce the goods and products that our grandparents used to make. So we're going to go back to this. All right. Back in the beginning, this is from the Center for Strategic International Studies. Back in the beginning, the U.S. represented 100% of manufacturing capacity of semiconductors. Today, being in 2024 at the time, we only represent 8%. Now, let us go to this. This is from Straight Arrow News, which pretty much I actually like their news. They're pretty much straight to the point. In the 1990s, the United States accounted for over a third of the world's semiconductor manufacturing capacity. Now it's down to 10% in 2024. So anywhere from 10 to 8%, that's all that we make here in the U.S. And again, we had free trade with the world. We did not, or we subsidized these companies here very little. Then the next thing you end up knowing is that they go to countries where the business is completely subsidized, and it's not necessarily comparative advantage. It's just that these other governments subsidize the hell out of those industries. That is why tons of steel is made in frickin' China, because it's so subsidized. Also, China, we're gonna go right over here. China also dominates the rare earths metals market. This is from Politico. So let's scroll down. As of today, China accounts for 63% of the world's rare earth mining, 85% of the rare earth processing, and 92% of rare earth magnet production. They also represent a large amount of the solar panels that are made, because again, they're all subsidized, and they also tariff out outside countries. They also make it to where if you want to do business in China, they also take your IP, or you got to go a 50-50 venture with a Chinese business there. Again, people 60 years ago, if we had a crystal ball to be able to see into the future, I don't think that our companies, well, who knows, they might, but I know our politicians definitely would not have allowed this, because now China and other parts of the world have us by the nuts here. So this is from 2024. In early December, China banned exports to the United States of critical minerals like gallium, germanium, and antimony, which have widespread military applications. Okay. And they already had these things beginning in 2023, but they expanded them in 2024. Okay. So we are cutting off trade in between one another, right? We are also trying our best to reshore stuff here. Now, something that I had wanted to say here is that the Biden administration, even though he was wholly inept as a president, he did do a few things right. The CHIPS Act, which will hopefully spur production here in the United States, it subsidizes a lot of innovation here. Okay. So I'm sorry, let me scroll off of this. This is not what I want. But with the CHIPS Act, it essentially gave about $52 billion over the next five years for research and development and investment into infrastructure, like capital equipment and stuff like that, to get production here. COVID should have been a huge wake-up call for the United States. Back during those times, it was found out that we didn't produce pretty much any PPE here, no vitamin C here, very little antibiotics, wholly dependent on Taiwan to make stuff that is vital for our life here. Now, hold up. Also, another reason why Trump may have been elected. China became part of the World Trade Organization in December of 2001. And let's check manufacturing. Okay, June of 1979, we had about 20 million people working in manufacturing. It represented 22% of total non-farm employment in the United States. Today, okay, there's only, I'll take that back. This is going on almost six years old, but this is from 2019. There was about 13 million. And think about that. The population has probably expanded by 60 to 70% since then. And as we can see here, all these other jobs went up. All these other jobs, government jobs, other services went up. All these other jobs, some of them doubled, except for information, which is kind of crazy. But all these other jobs, except for mining and logging and non-durable goods and durable goods, which is all the stuff that we make. This is stuff that is made. Okay. All of that stuff ended up going down, even though the population was going up. Now we can say that it was innovation, but I don't necessarily think so. And as we can see here on this graph, okay, we have this huge thing. It topped out in 79. And then the next thing you know, it's a gradual decrease. Now, you can see here, we end up going from about 16,000 all the way down in August of 2010 to 11 million. I'm sorry, we went from about 16 million to about 11 million. And it's been slowly coming up, but it's clearly not enough. And also something else to throw on this high stakes game between the U.S. and China and tariffs and everything like that. We also have military readiness, especially when it comes to Taiwan. So if you can just take a second here and look at this graph, the U.S., if we were to get closer to mainland China, the Chinese have a lot of advantages or parity with the U.S. If it's not on Chinese land and it's further out, it's more U.S. advantage to parity. Okay, so we are playing a very high stakes game here. And I hope that in the end, no blood is shed, but these tariffs, and more so, Trump needs to get the heads of industry in there, especially the ones that make stuff like steel, washing machines, Mr. Coffee makers, TVs, all these types of things. We need to get the heads of those industries, pull them into the White House and say, you all have to bring these jobs back here. Not all, but a significant portion have to come back to the U.S. And I would really hate to say that the U.S. government might have to open up the checkbook to do it, but I don't think our political enemies have no problem opening up that checkbook. And we can definitely stand here on our morals and on ideologically being consistent, and our enemies will happily pat us on the head and then cut off supplies to us. So this is just the beginning. I'm one of these people. I'm perfectly fine with the tariffs. Even if we still kept the income tax, I'm still fine with the tariffs, because I want to get production back here. We have major issues when it comes to Taiwan and how dependent we are on them for the things that run your everyday life, from this computer I got to this damn microphone, okay, to the screen I'm looking at myself on. if Trump can get more investment here and get them to open up places here, and also just a FYI, at least when it comes to environmental regulations, I'm sorry, US, and well, screw Europe. Europe is a museum. They don't care. But here in the US where people work, or at least attempt to work, some of those environmental regulations are going to have to be pulled back. Okay. We are not going to let you do like what they do in China, which is just openly pollute the rivers, pollute the air. Who cares? But you're going to have to pull back. Okay. Our environment's going to get dirtier. Yes. Should it? Yes. Okay. And that's it. I hope that the tariffs work. And in the end, I hope even if we have to live a lower standard of living, at least we will be more self-sufficient here. All right. See you in a week. Bye.